Please go ahead.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the 21st of June's Master Plan Update Steering Committee meeting. Rich, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I would love to. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, we got a massive crowd in the audience tonight, folks, on TV land, and they could be out there in the sun, but no, they chose to be here this evening.
They didn't. They gave up all their cookouts and everything.
All right, LCTV, don't show the audience tonight. No, folks. But there were a great number of you, a very great number of you, well over 230 last Tuesday evening, when we had our first public forum. We'll talk more about this evening, but we have to tell you, quite frankly, that was a wonderful turnout from the folks in Littleton, so thanks very much. And this evening, RKG is going to give us a debrief on that, what they learned, some of the steps that we'll take going forward, and how we improve on what we already did, and importantly, how do we use what we did. So with that, we're going to get an update on core assessment meetings. We're going to talk a little bit about schedule, on discussion of potential dates for the charrettes, the current status where we're at, as I just described, and some of those next steps. The debrief that I mentioned, we're going to get feedback on the meeting structure that we had in town, what worked, what didn't, what can we improve upon. The timeline that we're going to use going forward to analyze the information that we did glean that particular evening, and then an opportunity for committee members to provide input for those of us here this evening. We're going to talk about the website that we're setting up that is specific to the master plan update, and then some specific board business. So with that, Maren, anything? Okay. Committee members, anything you'd like to say? Or you pick on Daphne? If she looks, is Judy here yet? Ooh.
Wow.
Good evening, Judy. How are you?
Thank you.
It's quite a trip trying to get here.
That's good, because, can you step in 1 minute, because we are in session?
Yes, absolutely.
And folks, I'm going to skip on the agenda a little bit, because one of the discussion items tonight is Chair of Chairs meeting that the library committee has requested, or designee. I'd like that you be our designee, given that you're already on the library meeting and you can represent the board.
That
Is that
works.
okay? Everybody
Yes.
okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
By acclamation, thank you.
Okay, I'm right back down.
All right, ciao.
Thanks.
So we were just about
Get
to
a
go.
business taken care of. Well done, folks. We're on a roll.
We did all of this, and we're now doing our assessment meetings.
Hey, Peter.
So, do you have the dates for those?
I think I have.
Okay.
Same thing. Chairs, he's heading over there. Peter Scott.
Oh, okay. What's that? Oh,
That was Peter Scott that just rolled through.
what's he the chair?
He's the chair of the planning
Oh,
board.
okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm supposed to be there.
Judy,
School
okay,
committee.
all set?
Peter is the chair of the planning board. Are you the chair of the school
Sorry, I was
committee?
late.
No, don't worry about that.
So while you look for the
Let's not
dates,
confirm
I'll
that.
tell you.
Sure, that's fine.
So
That's a
Judy's
real
going
important
to
meeting.
give an update on the core assessment meetings and on which ones we've already done and which ones we are going to do and what the dates were. I was part of the transportation core assessment meeting, which was last week, Eric and I, and we met with Scott Zadakis, Pam Campbell, Keith Bergman, Doug Haley, Maren, and Rick Finley. And we had a very interesting discussion, and we divided the discussion into bikes, pedestrians, and then transit and public
Sorry,
transportation.
I'm sorry, I think I might have missed that chair meetings. I think the school committee, are we gonna have a quorum with 6? Oh, not tonight. Oh, I didn't think it was
I
tonight.
know.
Jeez.
I
Oh,
saw him walking in and I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, I knew we didn't have the chairs tonight. I think it's the 28th, right?
Yes, it is. I didn't think so either, but
sorry.
we're good.
So we're good now.
Back in session.
Okay. So now we're on here.
Welcome to Littleton. We are a small town here.
So in any case, we had a very interesting and useful discussion, and as I said, we divided up into the bicycles, pedestrians. There was some discussion of kind of automobile and roadway traffic congestion, but really, we talked a lot more about the options for public transit and for doing either a townwide shuttle, more transportation for seniors, as well as connecting to large employers and having them kind of build those relationships so that there can be more, as there are in some other towns. some other options for connecting to the train station was a really big deal in terms of public transportation option, biking and walking, so that it becomes a complete system. So that's just an overview. We talked about a lot of other things.
Was there anybody from the bicycle pedestrian committee there?
Yes. What was his name? Scott? No.
No, they couldn't
Ru-
attend. They had hoped to, but they weren't
That's
going to
right,
make it.
that's right, they didn't make it.
So no one from the
Sorry.
BPAC was there? No one from that committee was there?
No,
No.
they had signed up, but they didn't make it.
Were sidewalks mentioned?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so-
Yes, and discussed at great length.
So who else was there then from the town?
So Scott Zadakis, Pam
East
Campbell,
Crosstown Connect.
Keith Bergman, Doug Haley from Acton, Marin, and Rick Finley.
Okay.
And then, let's see, Eric's going to catch up with Jim Clyde.
Tomorrow morning,
yeah.
right, yeah.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, afternoon.
On that. And then Keith was able to bring some of the concerns and issues of the bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee. Because they had attended the meeting just the night before, that was put on by Green International.
Is the Complete Streets meeting?
Yeah, Complete Streets.
Yeah, exactly. And Doug Haley, who's also with the Cross Connect, he's also very pedestrian and bike oriented, and we had a lot of discussion about even connecting across towns.
Did any member indicate that there were vital pieces of information, data needed to go forward
Yes.
that's missing?
Yes,
Okay.
and we noted that, and we'll be noting it in the master plan. So,
Sure. So the
Before we
first,
skip on the core assessment in general, those core assessment meetings, will you be doing any kind of report on them?
Yes.
Interim reports,
well,
synopsis?
we can. What I didn't want to do was sort of go through a detailed note-taking on what people said. I mean, we can give you a summary, but I wasn't planning to do like what we did with the interviews.
I think the summary would be good, and see what we all think here. Because like some of the questions that we just asked Daphne get preempted, and it'd be good to have them before we have the meeting,
Sure.
the regular meeting with all of us, so we had an opportunity to look through that.
Sure.
And then, so let's just talk about the bicycle and pedestrian committee, where Gary may have decided, Michelle was in there, and he calls his buds on the committee and said, hey, what did you see, what didn't you see, what do you want me to bring forward?
Sure.
If that works for everybody, and a summary is plenty fine for my needs.
I mean, bullet point type stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe,
yeah,
I
the
mean,
themes.
Yeah, I mean, the main reason we were doing these was to really inform the development of the master plan elements. So I know Patty Kelleher was the first one who did a core assessment meeting. She did historic and cultural a couple of weeks ago. I didn't ask Patty to give me a detailed rundown on her meeting because really it was for her to get information she needed for the element that she's working on. But I mean, I would have no problem asking people for sort of a bullet point of like high points and just put all that together in
Yeah,
one
because certainly my
document.
thought on it is we can help build on that information.
Yeah, sure,
Right,
understood.
right.
Yeah,
Presumably we
yeah,
can.
that's fine. That's fine.
All right, thank you.
And you can reach out to people who can, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
just so you know, I mean, historic and cultural was first, that was on June 2nd, I
Yeah.
think. I was here last week for housing with several people, it was a delight, that was a fun meeting. Eric, as Daphne said, did transportation, they were here together. Tomorrow night is Peter Flinker is here on open space.
On
and
natural
recreation,
natural
I
resources,
think.
yeah, tomorrow night.
Community facilities is tomorrow afternoon. Eric and I will both be here for that. Economic development, I think, is next week.
Next week.
Right.
Working a
Thursday
little bit
night
off
is
his
land
memory.
use and zoning.
Okay, right, right. And Eric will be here for that. Right.
It's great progress.
Yeah, they're all moving along. But I think the one we don't have confirmed yet is governance?
Governance, actually, we're looking at the July 18th.
Okay.
So Gary just asked for a schedule, so maybe,
I can put it
Yeah,
together.
they're also,
Actually, you have it,
I
right?
have it, but if you look at the calendar, meeting calendar, they're shown on there.
Okay. Okay.
It was also in an email, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
but it is a moving target as we add to it.
Yeah, so the point is that everything except governance has either had a date or has one coming up. So they're moving along, and thank you, Lauren, for all your effort to make those happen. They're really helpful to us. So that's that. So do you want anything, do you need more information on the core assessment meetings? Other than you want that summary, which I'm happy to give you?
Well, this was, I'm sorry, I've been out most of the last couple of meetings for whatever reasons, and so I haven't quite caught up with all the emails and stuff. So the invitations are going through Maren as to who should be attending those? So she
Yes.
gets a hot list of who those are, mostly town committee people and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I was just curious how it was working. All right.
Yeah, I mean, these are really mainly attempts to get at sort of local experts, people who kind of know a particular topic and can help fill in the gaps between data and what's really going on the ground. So it probably is a lot of staff and board and committee people, folks who kind of have a role in whatever the topic is. Housing people all had a role of some type in housing issues, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
To help inform the development of the inventory of your existing resources.
Yep.
Right, so, but if someone has maybe not on a town committee, or town, like the highway department obviously is involved with transportation and stuff, but just as someone has a vested interest or just shows an interest, anybody can attend those meetings or no?
Well, just let me know.
Okay. Okay.
In full disclosure, I'm trying to attend as many of them, just as soon as I can, to pick up where the data's missing and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
which was helpful, I think. It's helpful to have a set of ears from this committee if you can be there for them. It's good.
Anything else on the core assessment meetings, folks? Okay, schedule, please.
Sure. We are actually having a team meeting on Friday morning, getting everybody together to sort of figure out some specific dates. So I think what I'm going to need to do on dates for the charrettes is get back to you, because we're going to be working that out with Peter Flinker on Friday morning. He's the one who's really going to be doing those. So if you can bear with me, Maren, I need to just get back to you. As I said, we're going to get everybody together Friday morning. We have an internal date of the 18th of July for people on our team to get us their draft inventory and assessment documents, which are sort of the baselines for the master plan elements. Their date to us is July 18th, because we're actually not planning to give you the finished product until early August, but we need a couple of weeks to get that done. So, because I just know from having been through this before, you get footnotes that aren't in the right format or whatever. I mean, just all the stuff that goes on. So we set the deadline pretty early. Anyway, as a result, we need to get the team together to talk about kind of everybody's approach to these papers. So we're having a meeting Friday morning. We'll work out charrette dates. I guess what I'd like to know from you folks is, do you want us to give you like 2 date options for each charrette? Because there will be 2 of them, and they need to be done fairly close together in September. Do you want us to give you a preferred date and an alternate date?
Works for me.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And also, do you have any blackout dates? Are there any big events happening in town, at the school or townwide, that we should be aware of?
Just the castle and the trees rebuilt.
Oh, yeah.
When is that?
The 19th.
Of September?
It's a whole week though, isn't it?
Yeah.
19th to the 25th.
Yeah.
So 25th?
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't say you couldn't do anything there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's mostly daytime activity anyway.
I would say so, yeah.
Oh, it's mostly daytime?
Yeah,
But then people are tired from all day,
that's a good point.
right?
actually, yeah.
And then want to go more town things.
We'll do what we can.
Here's what can be helpful,
Sure.
is explain for everybody, in a 30-second speech or so, what the shred is, the sorts and numbers of folks you're looking to participate.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you end up taking a sort of an area, and I'll pick on the Common as an example, because it seems as though everybody's kind of interested in looking at that. And it's a way to get people to focus on a particular area, look at some potential scenarios for that area, what kind of changes the town might like to see, maybe looking at some constraints for that, presenting some alternatives to people to getting some feedback on what those alternatives might be. So the intent was to do a couple of areas, and I think we still haven't really figured out yet exactly what the areas would be, except there seems to be almost uniform agreement that the Common should be one of them.
Yes.
And we did ask that specific question at the public forum, and also it will emerge from the input of
Right.
the smoke group. So that we should know by next week.
Yeah.
But it's
I think-
also a matter of like the physical nature. It's both a plan as well as what something looks like, so there's some visualization. So
Right.
there are people there who help to, if someone says, well, what about this, and could it look like this? There's someone there to either draw or to have photographs, so people can start to see about, it's not just an idea and a concept, but it's what will it look
What
like?
implementation.
And where will it be? And the charrette, it comes from École des Beaux-Arts in Paris in the 1800s. The students used to be given an assignment, and they were told, all right, it's due tomorrow at 10. So they would work until 9:30 in the morning, and the cart would come by. It was called a charrette, the cart. And they would go on the cart, and they would work on it on the cart all the way to the last second. So that's what the charrette is about, is that let's all get together and work really hard until the last minute to come out with, so you have that pressure of what should the town common be, not just, oh, we're going to come out with something at the end of this session. So that's what.
Yeah, the French were real good at planning.
All right, so, anybody have any questions on the charrettes?
So I think what would be probably helpful to you folks is, let me get a memo, as sort of an update memo to you after Friday.
Thank you.
And we can give you kind of what those preferred dates and alternate dates might be, give you a sense of when we think we're going to be in a position to recommend what the two areas should be for the charrettes. I think we'll have that straightened out in pretty short order, because we're going through all the notes from last week and so forth now.
Good. Okay, the status then? The status?
Okay. Well, as I said, July 18th is the date by which our team members need to get us their draft inventory and analysis. We are looking at early August to get you your polished version of that. So really, between now and mid-July, that's going to be our focus, is getting those inventory and analysis documents done. You're then going to have an opportunity to pull those apart and tell us what we missed, or things that you think maybe were helpful to you in those. But those are going to be important to us, and to make sure you guys are comfortable with them, because really what you want to do when you go into a charrette process is make sure people have pretty accurate information about what is today. So the intent would be to get those on the project website, get them on the town website if you want as soon as possible, so people have access to that information. And they'll be kind of organized in a way where sort of some key findings and issues will be right up front. Not everybody likes to read these documents. Some people love them. So we'll try to organize them in the way that's friendly to
The casual reader.
Thank you. Friendly to the casual reader, and just something that the really intensive reader can kind of get their heads into. We'll do both. But we're right now in a mode of we need to get these inventory and existing conditions documents done, because without them, you don't have the foundation in your hands.
So that's what you have, and then the vision and goals you'll have by mid-July.
Right.
So that's what you want. And then it's a matter of developing the plan of how to get there.
Right.
Vision and goals mid-July, you said?
Yeah, because we have a meeting with you. It's easier if I just get on my phone, because I just have my calendar open.
July 19th.
Yeah, so we would want to get that to the committee,
Prior to that.
yeah, at least a week ahead of time, so you can digest it.
Right.
Gotcha.
And, obviously, that's our attempt to tell you what we think we've heard, that people really want, and we need you to weigh in on, did we hear them or not, or do you think we missed something? But,
All right, so you anticipate a week prior to the meeting, so the 12th of July, you would get it to us?
at least, yeah.
So then Maren would disseminate that to all of us. And here's what I'm going to ask you folks to do, is do the homework and read through those goals and the vision. Capture your critiques.
Yeah.
Get them to Maren soonest, so we can get it back to you. Because what I'd like to do is have that initial feedback from us.
Sure.
And you may come in and go, could have had a V8. Or, no, here's where you missed something, and then we go, could have had a V8.
So we definitely have to have V8 around.
Roger. But to help us get tuned to it, so rather than the first time we're seeing you speaking, trying to explain stuff to us, and here we are reading.
Oh, no.
That'd be a
you'll
foul
have
on our part.
Yeah,
Good,
we're not
very
going to
good
do that to you.
Yeah.
We could do it to ourselves, as BJ's point.
Well, maybe I'll send you a nag email like a couple of days before the meeting. We're really looking forward to seeing you next week and talking about the vision and goals.
So that way,
Here's your multiple choice quiz.
Maren will get it out to us right away, and then we'll get her some feedback right away and get it
Yeah,
to you all.
that would be fine. That would be fine. You know, at this point, I think the target, and I'm putting you in a terrible position because I haven't actually said this to you yet, so I'm now saying it in front of everybody.
Oh, no.
What I'd like to do is get it to the committee no later than the 8th of July.
Actually, I would prefer that.
Okay, because I have a son coming home from Nova Scotia the week of the 11th, and I do not intend to work any more than I absolutely have to. That's two
Well,
grandchildren
I
involved.
prefer it for my own selfish
Love
reasons.
you guys, but I love my grandchildren too.
I prefer it for my own selfish reasons.
That's fine.
So,
Okay, all right.
there we go.
Herring chokers?
Up until the altruism.
Huh? Pardon me?
Herring chokers. Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah, they live in Halifax.
Some of them, she has quite a
You should
few.
offer up that that's your lineage as well.
No, I'm a Newfie, I'm not a herring choker.
You're a newfie?
So is that all the next steps for the
I
moment?
think so for now, yeah. We're sort of, our MO right now is between now and sort of the end of September, which is the inventory, the goals, and the charrettes. I think that all together, I think is going to provide a sense of direction about where this plan needs to go.
Any questions on schedule, folks? All right.
I know that there was some,
Yes, there are.
this wasn't a question, but just more, I was just looking through the notes about youth involvement and some discussion about getting them involved in some activities. And since September will be tight in terms of getting them up, school will start, I can't do anything for the next 2 months. But if you have some ideas about what kind of participation you want, if you think it's something we want to have for the
Sure.
charrettes or other type of activities.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
So if you want, you can tell me now, if you can tell me what you think it might be, so that if I need to reach out to some.
Well, you say you can't do it before school starts, but aren't there summer camps and other
Day
kinds of
programs
day
and so forth?
programs around that you
It's
could?
pretty scattered. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, there are
okay.
some day camps that they have in town, but they're gonna be, not gonna be quite the audience you're gonna get.
Okay.
As in a message to the principal of a school, who can
Okay.
send out everybody in those classes.
Okay, so we'll work with that at our team meeting and then we'll send you something.
Yeah, I think this is going to be following up on our meeting with you last week. Based on our team meeting, this is what we think, and we'll add that to the list of things we need to talk about. Okay?
But thank you for
Yeah.
being the point person on that.
You want to debrief the forum?
Yes. Yeah. I've said this to all of you anyways, but I'll just repeat it for the record. I was so impressed with the turnout at that meeting. It was wonderful. The people who came, I mean, I just wish we had had more dots cut up ahead of time. It was really kind of a scramble to accommodate that many people, but the turnout was wonderful. I thought that, I mean, just from some of the notes that I've seen, people seem to really have some very definite opinions, You look back at an event like that and you think, I wish I'd done this, or I wish I'd done that. And I think one of the things that we all were sort of lamenting was just the inability in a group, in a room that packed with people, to break them up in ways other than perhaps sitting with their best friends, because you did have a table or two, I think, of people who are not so happy with the town, and then lots of tables where people were happy with the town. So you try to cut it up when you can, but there was just no way with 200 people in that room.
It would have taken
that
far too
we're going to be
long.
able to do that, so he said, just go and we'll work it out. But I think we really got some valuable feedback, and I think, food is a great draw, but when you have that many people show up for a meeting, it says something more about the community than just, gee, how nice it is that we fed you dinner.
Well, and a lot of people came after dinner. They had
That's
dinner
true.
at home and
Yeah.
then they came.
Yeah,
So it wasn't,
right, but,
I wanted to say that I thought the committee did an amazing job with outreach.
yeah.
And
Clearly.
that was very clear. And Myron and Paul did a great job coordinating, and that was really clear too.
Yeah.
And also the facilitating, you did great facilitating, and such timely write-up of the notes.
We
I have
can't
to say,
thank
it's
you
the
enough.
first time.
Ever.
No, okay, today, that was one day late, that's it.
That's no big deal at all.
Oh,
No, I mean, we can't thank you enough
no,
for getting those
it's so
notes in.
important, yeah.
So most of the committee, okay.
So what do you think you did well? What do you think we did well?
Or not so well,
Or not, or what, could we do better?
What to do?
All right, you want to start?
Well, what I was one of the last, I guess, to finish my own group, because I was not I was not used to do those things, so, but I think it was.
And you were alone. You were the only person that was alone. You didn't have a scribe. You were both facilitator and scribe.
Yeah, just because I was control freak.
Yes, but that takes longer.
Yeah. I like to remember what I'm listening, so I prefer to write myself. But I think I think it was fine. I don't have any complaints or any observations. There's a lot of people, and I know that's difficult to organize. Well, as you said, like.
It was a challenge.
It was like twice as many people as we were expecting.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so that's.
We
I was
thought
gonna
Andre,
cancel the
Andre,
tables and the
great.
chairs and everything else. I was all set to cancel. I figured 15 people would show up. You know? Oh, we got like 50 already said so far. Fine.
Oh, it's understandable.
Gary?
That was a good problem.
Yeah.
That, because it was hard to sometimes hear because there's a lot of conversations going on.
Yeah.
And it was a little hard to organize, and the dots and not having enough easels and notepads and stuff like that. So now we know better. What I didn't know was that, yeah, I guess I saw that you guys were shorthanded and did some stations beforehand, like a map or not put dots on the map and I think you guys needed, I just happened to walk by Eric and he goes, "Can you take the station?" And so I said, "Sure," but I didn't know exactly what I was trying to, I got a 1-minute primer of what I was trying to do. I just read the instructions and said, I had authority on it.
The reason he did
So-
that, I know the reason he did that was that because now more people were coming, and we realized we had to scramble.
And that's
So
fine.
He was handing it over to you quickly, but
But I think
felt
if I had known,
ill-prepared.
if some people had
Right.
known that what those were for and
Yeah.
had given some of the committee members some more guidances,
Yeah.
here's your assignment,
right,
Yeah.
right.
maybe
Yeah.
5 minutes would have been helpful.
Understood.
Or maybe written.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel your pain. I did.
I made you, it was fine, it's fine, and I can.
But that could be
I can speak
better.
with authority if I don't know what I'm talking about pretty well, so.
And to that point, I'd like to add to this, if I may. In an area that doesn't require that expertise that you as urban planners and, all your specialties you bring to the table, where we can do something like that, why don't we just, from the very get-go, plan on assigning a committee member? So whatever table you did, just an example, Gary's going to have this table next time.
Right.
And then we can do that planning from the get-go and know what your expectation is,
Yeah.
and then we don't have the scramble. Even if it ends up we have half the people and you've got enough folks the way you would have done business normally, and then we at least erase that probability of occurrence again.
Agreed. Good.
I thought that the range of options for feedback was very good. I was frankly a little bit surprised at how well those pre-stations worked up front. A lot of people were taking their time and really thinking about what they wanted to put up there. So that, I think we got value out of that, more value than I would have expected. I think before we broke out into the groups, when we did the explanation of what the master plan is about, I think next time we should be more focused on what that evening is about relative to the master plan.
Okay.
And just be focused on what we're asking them to do. Because I think some groups lost track of what they were trying to get done that night. And it really turned into a kvetching session in a lot of ways. All good point, valid
Well,
things.
you had one of those
Some
groups.
point that needs to be addressed at some point, but I don't know if that was the forum or the master plan in general is the forum for some of the issues we were discussing at the time. And I didn't wanna, I just let it go because I was interested, because it's like, okay.
Well, but it's also what people wanted to say, and you
Yeah,
have to let
and that's
them-
fine.
Yeah.
But I think maybe focusing that presentation on what we are trying to get out of this next hour and a half or so
Yeah,
would be good.
okay.
And it's still, you still won't get exactly what you're trying for, but you might get a little bit closer to what you're trying for.
Okay, thank you.
Rich?
Well, I missed that Monday night, but it sounds like I missed a really great event. I've been through probably 2 or 3 other charrettes that we've done through the planning board in that room. I think the most we ever had was maybe 35 or 40.
Wow.
Yeah, to have those kind of numbers, it just blows my mind. Free food. Yeah.
Good segue. Your turn.
Really.
Trick question.
I actually had a great time. I mean, truthfully, at the beginning, this is gonna... But it was a lot of fun. I had a good group. We had, one fellow that, kinda was a little, pushy on some subjects and actually was... But otherwise, it went pretty well. I was actually very surprised. I had a great partner. Things went well. The little dots, no more than little dots. Those don't work. Big dots, no little dots. And the same thing at the beginning with the meetings of who's on what table doing what. I mean, what the hell are we doing here? I don't know. So I agree with you there. Some little foresight on that would have been nice.
Okay.
And the groups that, some were happy, some were unhappy. It wasn't really the place to air some of their, wanting to, remove the entire selectmen and everybody in the planning board. But the funny part is I don't know who those people are, but they never show up to these meetings. They always show up to when it's, they try.
May I say
try
that
and do
that
something
comes up
foolish.
at every master planning
Yeah, it does.
vision
Well,
session.
it's.
And shall we want to change the form of government, we want to change all the selectmen, the whole planning board.
Let's stick
Comes
to
up every
the
time.
format and
Yeah.
what we learned as far as how to produce.
But again, that wasn't, as I was saying, that wasn't the format for that meeting. I thought it went very well. I was very happy with the people. The food was good, and I had a great time. Absolutely
I'm
amazed.
glad. That's super.
And for me to say I had a good time is,
I know.
yeah, no booze.
Melissa?
Well, I couldn't agree more. I totally agree with actually all the comments, and I liked that the facilitators were us, and that we got to hear firsthand, and I think the community got to see who we were. Oh, okay, that's our committee, and now I know them maybe more by face. So I thought that was good. I definitely agree with the noise. I know there were so many people in a room we didn't anticipate, but it was definitely hard to hear, so that was one thing.
Yeah.
So we did talk to the custodian ahead of time to try to secure more classrooms in case we had a larger turnout. And he said we could only have the ones that we had previously requested, even though they were lying there empty.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions about that. Well, why not? Why can't you use those other classrooms?
Well, I did ask him ahead of time.
It's the rules, we
Yeah,
can't.
that's what he
So
said.
Speak up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter just made a good point, actually. It felt like at first 10 minutes might be a long time, but we were rushing to get through 10 minutes. So we were, okay, you have to give next guy. I mean, we weren't really like that, but we're
Right.
cutting it
I
close to make sure we hit it. And then the last thing was the logo. Just wondering what's the next step on that one. Our team was a huge fan.
So we'll talk about that when you finish.
Our group.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay.
I'll circle back to the
But it was
Yeah, we'll
really
come
great.
back.
We got a lot of great feedback after. Even got comments about the food, it was good food. It made me feel like I was, kind of at a more casual setting, not something formal, made me open up more. So I thought it was great. Well done, team.
You could still tell us what you think you would have thought.
So was Mr. Zeldin's up there.
Well, I was looking at you because
And actually, I'm happy you did that, because I do want to save Mike to last.
he always does, yeah.
Well, I'm very impressed with the overall product, both in terms of the turnout and the responses and the structure that led us to that point. But I didn't think that the training was kind of rushed, especially when we encountered the mass we had. I mean, I'll reiterate the same issues. On our table, we had 12 or 13 people stretched out. It didn't lend itself to conversation. And so it was more, going around to get individual inputs, so that was kind of lost a little bit there. And then I'll reiterate what Melissa had mentioned in terms of the logo. I didn't recognize those three options as being the things that we had talked about. There was like new language and things that we hadn't talked about before, and I wouldn't put a lot of faith in that as a finality. And these people weren't sure how to respond to it. Do I have to pick one or the other? Can I offer alternatives? I think we ought to rethink that a little bit.
We will,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that.
But Paul brought up the amount of training time we had available to us too. Let's all recall 5:20 was the adjournment.
Yeah, but
Excuse me,
even with that,
I'm just,
BJ,
but we didn't start at 5:20. We started at like 5:43.
Right.
that's
So we
reality.
to the agenda tonight.
We did.
But we could have got those documents 5 days in
Yeah,
advance.
no, it's a fair
You
point.
did.
We did, Paul. We had the questions.
Actually,
We
more
got the
than-
facilitators
more than 5.
pamphlet.
More than,
Yes.
I don't know about that.
That you personally didn't have them,
Yeah.
I personally did.
Yeah.
And 5:20 was the start time, we didn't start till 5:43. That's we, let's not worry about anyone else on the planet, it's the 12 of us.
There were even questions prompted, but I don't care how.
Officer, I wasn't on that podium talking and talking. And,
About 5:20.
well, then what, 20 minutes, 5:20, 5:43? You
No,
took
we
it
began
to-
that at 6 o'clock, Peter.
That's okay, whatever it takes.
Okay, that aside, that's for our internal intake here as a committee. Bartlett?
I think it went very well, as other people have said. I just want to add that at my table, there was a conversation, we did go around and around, and I was astonished that several of the people at my table changed their minds quite radically during the discussion. So there was a turnaround and change of opinion, and I was really impressed that
Wonderful.
That's
a
wonderful.
discussion would, change people's minds.
Yeah.
That's
so
what's
there
so
was-
great about.
There's an education process that needs to happen.
What prompted that? Because we had kind of, if you don't mind my butting in.
No,
Mr.
but
Chair,
please.
It was kind of a heterogeneous group that I had, and I wish that sort of thing had happened to my group. What prompted? Just other people's comments?
Yeah, I mean, we started off with density and housing and keeping the town
Right.
exactly the way it is, and then we got into the elderly, which I think they were trying to get rid of me. But what to do with the elderly, what kind of facilities they need, the sort of the progression from the big single-family house to independent living, to
Right.
assisted living. Pretty much everybody that talked after we had that discussion reversed their position on density and multifamily housing, and it was clear that there's a real need, if you express it the right way, for people to change, get out of the single-family house
Right.
model for this town.
When they understand who it's for.
Yeah, well, maybe
Was
get
your
rid of me.
group, what was the average age of your group, do you think?
The average age, well, there were there was an elderly couple, and the rest, there were some, young parents, coach kinds of people. There was a very athletic group. It became a running joke that the answer to every single question was turf fields.
Are you and Tom Farrell in that group? Yes.
I mean, that was the opening line for every question, and then we went around and had a discussion, so.
Okay, I know your group. I almost had but you took it from me. The reason why I asked the age, I'm sorry, Paul, is that we had a group that was probably 50 plus, everybody, so the conversations there were not, and I'm very happy to hear that a group of younger,
I was astonished.
that they're caring about the elderly, and, like myself, I'm older than dirt. So a place to live. Someone's,
Watch it, guys.
What's next? I like that. That was
Was
great.
that a play on the turf?
No, dirt is what you get when you play lacrosse up at the high school. But,
So it's
turf
back to,
is
it's back
hopefully
to
someplace
Judy's
else.
point, though, that, now that we know that we can get such a large turnout, we can start to think about how to mix up the groups ahead of time. Sometimes we use colored agendas or numbers, and so we could make sure that it can be more efficiently done, because we couldn't do it. We were planning to do it online right there, but we couldn't with 200 people, it would just take too long. So we had to just take blocks.
Learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a group that size?
I have.
Hey, don't forget Mike.
Yeah. But it's not common.
It's not
And it's
common.
certainly, in a town this size, it was just very impressive. I don't know what else to say.
And people were there was a lot of positive energy. People said a lot of good things about all of you and about the event. Yeah.
Not us, them.
I don't know if it was particularly
Oh,
about
no, there would be nothing addressed at me as
All right,
good department.
we can get rid of that real fast, Mike.
All right. Yeah, you want me to comment, or are we done?
Yes, please, no, it's your turn.
I'd like to know how it worked so well, and what I got from that more than anything else is how much the people, and I just don't mean the people at my table who happen to be they got very animated, and I would turn around and just sort of to relieve the pressure from time to time and notice that they all were animated. this sounds very, say, smushy, but there's a lot of love for this town, in the town. And it was clearly felt in that room. I have no idea what produced it, because it's at the town meetings and all the rest. This was the first time where I felt that I was really in the presence of Littleton, as opposed to something else.
That's nice coming from you.
And, I'm used to a much higher level of hostility coming from the, from the People's Republic, so it's a little different. So it's a little different. The second thing is that I really appreciate the training for the facilitation, because I did happen to have a table where there were people who made various, because I could spot them early for obvious reasons, they wanted to take over the discussion. And so I quickly thought, now how would Daphne handle this? And so what I did is I discovered by stepping, just for what it's worth, I stepped behind the oldest person on the table. Happens to be Len. I think he's been living here probably since Littleton was founded, because he knew the whole history of the town. And every time I stood behind him and I said, Len, what's your opinion on this? And that would bring everything down to the level where people could actually talk to each other.
Yeah.
And it happened quite frequently where people were trying to do beyond the headline and go to discussion.
That was a good idea.
But eventually, they all started working as a group and took over.
Yeah.
And I just went like this.
Yeah.
So whatever you did to make that room, the whole room, as shall we say, as up as it was, I really appreciate it. Hope we can, whatever we did, hope we can do it again.
We can do it
Especially
again.
when it gets really tough and we ask people to make choices.
I think
Real
that
choices.
was Lenny and Dexler. If he was your fallback guy, you had a tough crowd.
You know what they say, if you see a mountain lion, you have to take your child and put it on your shoulders. You have to look larger that way, and that way the mountain lion doesn't.
Well, I mean, I
That's
know
what
you
you were
published it
doing,
at the table, I would suggest that I need several shoulders to have done that one.
Let the kid run.
Safety tip when the mountain lion shows up. Where's a kid when you need one?
We had a kid at the table,
There you go.
but not as effective as Len.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Your reward for coming this evening, because you were present, weren't you?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was great. People want to be heard, and were eager to participate. I thought it was a great evening. I really enjoyed it.
Okay,
People want to be.
everything that everybody said, good, I agree with. Here's what I'd like you to think about, and we kind of hit on this already. It's the self-selection of folks and groups.
Yeah.
Have a plan for random distribution of folks.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got to be able to do that. What we take out of this, and you heard me say it that evening, is, okay, we've got you all to show up now we got to deliver.
Yeah.
So the we is us in the room here this evening, because we certainly owe it to the folks. In this, please don't misunderstand what I'm about to say, because I'm saying this for all of our benefit, is we got to bust our butts to produce a product out of this, so that the folks see we're on the right track, and that we did listen. Some folks are going to come and wake up, you didn't listen to me, because their particular point, if not expressed in general terms, not expressed the way the person would like to have been, even if we've hit it someplace else and we think we've hit it. So when you do your collation and put everything together, you'll think you've captured the broad thought of it. But someone will use some different words from what you may have used and will feel perhaps left out. We have to anticipate that. So when we see these results, we have to become intimately familiar with the results ourselves, so that when folks do ask us questions about, well, what about? You can say, well, let's see if I can explain it this way. Here's my understanding of what went on for that particular subject area, and be able to address it that way. So that's where you can help us too, so that when you do some things, and you mentioned footnotes, but that was more for vision and goals, I think. But certainly some of the things you may express in general terms, if you've got a couple of vignettes that might be helpful also, I'd ask that you do that and provide that information.
Well, so here are all of your notes, right? The 14 groups. So all of the actual words will also be documented at the back.
Oh, super. Okay.
So they'll all be there, but then in the front, they'll be more summarized and more abstracted.
So that way all of us will be able to see all
All of the groups, exactly. That's why it takes so long.
No. Good.
Yeah.
that's what I had to say, so thank you.
So I know, just one closing comment I have, was that I think what made the evening a success was the fact that people were invited and they wanted to participate. And I think the invitation piece, knowing that we're not, there's an opinion, there's a minority, there's some consensus in town that says that people are making decisions without getting input. Whether that's true or not, there's a perception out there that that's the case. And I know there's always town meetings we have with people, but the fact, they have them, but the fact that we asked for people to participate, I think really resonated with people.
Yeah. And
people really feel strongly, what Michael said, they feel strongly about this town, and I think they're putting a lot of hope on that this master plan fixes a lot of things, and that this is the place to do it. And so that's why I think you got the turnout you did. And the other thing about that is, people did ask me before, after, what is this thing, and why? What do you do with it once it's done? And I'm saying the implementation plan is very important. We have a plan for implementation plans, but I'm hoping that we've talked a lot about that, but that really, in a future discussion about the master plan, I think you should probably hit on that. It's not just the plan itself and the process, but what we do with it, because I do think a lot of people are asking that question.
Okay.
Especially people that are familiar with the previous master plan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to assuage their concerns are more pronounced than people who haven't seen this type of effort before.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So next?
Next is timeline for analyzing and posting input and so forth. And I think you and Eric
Yeah,
probably
so-
are more on top of this than I am.
So I would say by next week, we will have a draft of the summary of the meeting. And then by July 8th, that will be turned into a vision and set of goals. So that's really it. Right now, we're compiling and analyzing. There'll be one document which will be a summary of what was said, and then there'll be a separate document which will be taking all that and articulating it into a vision and a set of goals. And then that's going to be, the inventory that Judy's talking about is sort of the foundation of this is where you are, and then that's what you're trying to achieve. And so then that's when you work on that implementation plan. So when people ask, what do we do with this input, with this particular set of input, we develop this vision and set of goals. We get input further down the line that will help us to revise that, to refine it, and then to develop this and to build this implementation plan, which is a series of action steps. But at this point, this input is used to articulate a vision and set of goals.
That's a combination of both what you got on Monday, as well as the previous interviews and stuff, right? It was just from the...
No, it's just from there. And then you will then have a cut of it. And that's sort of the next bullet point here. I heard a couple of people saying, well, when are we going to be able to provide input? And that, I have to say, every master plan committee feels that way because you joined this because you're so interested in the town and you're interested in the master plan. But really, you have the opportunity to provide input throughout. So when we come up with this vision and set of goals, if you think something's missing, maybe people didn't think of it, maybe it didn't come up, you think it's important, you get to say so. And the same with emphasizing something. You get to say, well, maybe this needs a little more emphasis.
I'll offer a little amen on that. I'm certainly opinionated. Anybody know, right? So, but
That out loud again?
I think I got value as being a facilitator, and the group got more validation. I was working with a friendly crowd too. It wasn't even people that are cross swords with, but just by telling them up front, value. I've got opinions, but I've got plenty of opportunities to offer them. I'm not offering a word tonight, in my opinion, and I didn't. And that was, I think, it was well received, and I think it really helped the dialogue. That being said, I can't wait for the next opportunity to have an opinion, but it did help in the context of that whole meeting. I thought it was good.
But that's, and I know I can appreciate that feeling of wanting to give your opinion because you have informed ones and, and
But it
that's
can
why you're
easily
here.
become, either debating or lecturing, and
Right, and that's not-
to be avoided,
Right.
so.
But there's plenty of opportunity through this process
Yeah.
to bring your opinion.
Yeah,
to
so I'm
inform
just
your
saying,
opinion.
I'm
Yeah.
sold on that notion, it worked, so
Okay.
that's good.
Thank you.
I'm Paul, I'm an opinionaholic, and spent 3 days since my last opinion.
That's right.
So if we're thinking that internally we'll have this ready by the end of next week, then I would say right after July 4th, we would send you the vision and goals document.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this going to be shared publicly, or is this something
At some point, once
at
it's.
some point, but
Well,
not on
once,
July?
It's a
once
public
you-
document as soon as we send it to you.
Right, but
So
it won't be made, we
what
won't put
you
on the
need to
website
decide-
until you look at it.
Yeah, you need to decide when you want to make it public.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about on the 19th.
You have a meeting on the 19th, so,
Yeah, that's just,
yeah.
the only reason I'm asking this is because I happen to have gone to the third Thursday
Yeah,
and spend the evening, most of the evening, walking around
yep,
and handing stuff out. And a lot of people there had not been to the meeting. They all heard about it. Amazing number of people heard about it.
yeah.
And got positives on it. And I was just, and then subsequently in the neighborhood and all the rest. So I'm wondering, catching it in the bottle.
So,
How do you catch that in the, it's a rhetorical question, how do you catch it in the bottle? Because,
so you keeping the momentum going is what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
So once you have decided that it is for public consumption, we would post it, and then Maren is going to put up the website
Right.
where Eric has developed a blog and where we will be asking questions that will help to give people who didn't have a chance, or even people who did have a chance to participate, to give their opinions, and that will help to refine the vision and goals. So here we go, this is the website, and that's the home page. Then you can go to the Learn More.
I told you we love that picture.
Where you can learn more. Then you can go to Documents and Data, where as documents become available,
We'll put them up.
they'll be there.
Right.
Public participation. And here that's where the summary will go.
Mhm.
That's where announcements will go. That's where progress with regard to that will go.
Right,
And then the last one is the blog,
right.
where it's an opportunity for people to participate. Now, there's nothing there right now, but we will start a conversation, an online conversation, so people can get pulled in.
Participate, right.
Is the plan to do anything to promote that blog through Facebook ads
Exactly,
or whatever?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it just sits there.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's whatever, it's $20 a whack, it's money well spent.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So is this live now?
Yes,
Is it ready to be shared?
yes.
Yeah, that's why we're handing this out last week and handing it out at the third Thursday, too. That's all right.
I knew that. I only handed them out.
Yeah, I did a bunch too.
You were handing them out, that's right.
Yeah.
So as things are posted on here, is that how would people be notified? If you go here, it's not static, it's how do people notify that something's changed, something new?
So Eric is developing a database from the sign-in sheets, let's see, we have 211 people who signed in at the meeting, but we did have more in attendance who didn't sign in. 21 people asked to be part of the Friends group. And so slowly, this database will be built up, and then they will get notifications, they'll get updates. Here's the link,
Yep.
and this has now been posted.
I've also got these signups from third Thursday.
Oh, we'll add those. Perfect.
So if you're a friend of the master plan, you'll get these notifications. So if I was to send out notice saying, here's the website, and if you want to be a friend to get updates, that would be the way that people would say, yes, I want to be one.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is third
We
Thursday.
can also make them available to various Twitter accounts
Sure.
across town, including Keith, but including all the principals and the superintendent have a Twitter account too. That's a
So
broad-
remember that list we made
That's
in
broad.
the public participation plan? We'll go through that again to send this out.
Right.
Right, and I would guess that the best way is for people to subscribe.
Yeah, that was it,
I
yeah.
agree.
But on the subscription bid, because we have the town subscription service, we can get with Nancy, please. And if we could be blasted out on folks who have already signed up to that.
Okay.
Because Keith said one of the things actually missing in that particular technique is people don't provide content.
Right.
So this, at least we can provide content, and that'll get blasted out, even if it's just a note, go to this page.
So Eric would like me to relay the following information. So the site and the domain has been paid for 2 years. After that, the site can be transferred to the town, or the content can be migrated, quote-unquote migrated, to the town's master plan website. The public participation page will be updated, as we just said, as soon as we have the information, and Judy just went through the dates. Now, is there anyone who wants to write the first short post on the blog? It could be a summary from the first public meeting, or a note about that, or something that you heard. And if you don't want to, we can do the first one, that's fine. But we're just offering you that invitation.
I think it should come from one of you.
I'll do it. How do you do it? I need to access, or do I just write up and send it to you?
Do that.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. All right, I'll learn this new thing. Let's do it. Okay, yeah, sure. Does it take pictures or is it just text?
You know what? I don't know that. It looks like there's a little, oh no. Can you go to, oh, we're on blog. That's a question for Eric.
We'll check with Eric.
Yeah, who to send? Does it matter, or Eric?
Eric.
Eric's managing the site,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, that was my next question,
Yeah.
feedback on the site.
Yeah.
So I'll goes to Eric, which I
Right.
think we have some live feedback now.
Oh, yeah? We have some
On that-
grumbling?
On that, where is it? Team, where are we? Who are we? Where is it? I'm on the website.
Learn more.
Yeah.
Learn more. Down.
Yeah. What do you think about getting our team up there, if you scroll down a little bit?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, maybe.
The committee-
even a group picture or something like that, but.
We should take one right now. Are you all here?
Missing one.
Joe.
Oh,
Photoshop.
we can Photoshop him.
Right.
It was taken at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So
No, I think
They'll
that's a
all
good
be
idea.
smiling, because it's the end of the meeting.
if someone wants to subscribe to this, this just gives them a subscription to any updates on this site.
Yes.
It's not the same thing as the Friends server, is it?
I mean, it's the same thing in that the friends will just get an email, but here they'll get it directly. It's the same thing.
Okay, I just want to
Yeah,
understand the new one.
yeah, yeah. The friends, we might call upon. It's not, friends are more two-directional, right? We might call upon them and say, can you help us out with some outreach? We're having a
Okay.
big event, and we're having the charrette in
So there are
September.
many.
There are minutes.
You know, one thing we should put up there now, I'm just thinking as we're talking, sitting here, is the interview summary.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
there's some information in there
That's
that
right.
people might want to see and perhaps even respond to.
So interview summary,
I'll see him in the morning.
and then Melissa is going to write the
If you
first
guys are all
blog
right with that, I think we should just put the interview summary in.
Yes.
post. And then, okay, so.
Do you have to know what was the most effective method that was used to bring the 200-plus folks to that meeting?
You know, normally we ask people, we say, you know, how did you find out about the meeting? And they call it out, and then people raise their hands, but there were too many people to do that with.
So we have no idea what the magic.
That might be a fun interactive, like, board to just keep up. How did you hear about it? It puts the little dots near,
yeah.
like, website, whatever it might be, and then just let people as they're passing by.
Let's do
the
that next
station,
time.
Then you don't even need self-service.
Let's do that next
Take the
time.
humans out of it.
That or the sign-up sheet, when they sign in, how did you?
Yeah, how did you hear about
Yeah.
it? Yeah, tick a box. Something.
And then have an other.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it was very fun to see when, you know, another email would go out or another group would be notified to who they'd hear back from. You
Yeah.
could tell what kind of things were working. And so I got
That's
my
great,
electrical bill or.
So what is your sense? What's
I
your
heard a lot of
instinct?
people got it through the school committee. Came with
It was a
came-
very broad,
Yeah. But
every method that was used seemed to draw some
Draw
people.
some.
Yeah.
So you don't have, so basically, you gotta do everything all over
Yeah.
again, is the
Yeah.
main,
Right.
is the takeaway.
Yeah.
What do you think? Katie, I know you're just a random sampling of one, but how did you hear about it?
From being on like sustainability committee, a member of that committee is, I believe, on here. Yeah, you do. I'm also on the comment committee and Joe Ficocello, so I'm, aware of the process.
So you're already plugged in. So you would get it.
Yeah.
The sandwich boards that Maren so nicely reminded me to help get out. She
Yeah,
did,
see?
she did.
And thank God.
Well, she was great at
Now I
coordinating
run for
everything.
Cleo.
I think what you're probably
Oh, yeah,
going to
that's
find is
right.
that there were a lot of different things that were done.
And they all worked,
collectively
right.
brought different groups.
Yep, okay.
And I'd like to see
So-
the highway sign one
Yeah.
earlier. It was only up for like a week before because of the Dale Waite Day was before.
Uh,
But I would have liked to see that up for longer because I do think a lot of people see those.
You mean the electronic one?
Electronic
Yes.
ones. Yeah, those work very well.
You on the sustainability committee?
I am.
Okay.
I'm just one. No, I'm good with that. It's just a conflict of a number of different things.
Yeah.
So the
I
other
always run into
thing is that Maren had mentioned or suggested that we start asking one question a week for 8 weeks on Facebook. And Eric suggests we could start doing that next week and have a link on the website to Facebook.
Say that one more time, I'm sorry.
So we're going to start asking one question a week for 8 weeks on Facebook.
Okay.
So we can start next week. And maybe, depending on what you post, we may use that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's real important, the Facebook pages, is to have continuity and different
Exactly.
content from
Right.
week to
You
week.
gotta keep it-
Otherwise,
keep it
it gets
alive.
stale if they perceive at any
Who's
point
gonna
that
a-
it's
who's gonna ask the
a
question?
static.
Well, that's what I was gonna be, that was gonna be my next question, is do you want to be the authors or the promoters of the first question? Or do you want that to come from us?
But do we want to, are we trying to get legitimate, like, questions answered relative to the material we're acquiring? Or do you just want to ask more questions than we already asked, like the other day?
We want them to be useful.
Right.
So we could either kind of use it as an opportunity to give people the same questions because they weren't there. We could start that way,
Right.
which we often do.
But you're trying to pull that together now based upon the feedback, so you don't have much. If you get it after your vision goal thing, are you going to try to manipulate or adjust it?
We would, because, we would refine it.
But
if
that's,
it's-
we
if-
got a good sample of response. We're gonna get the same, a pretty high correlation of the same answers because we had a broad sample anyway.
Yeah.
That's why I wanna either create new questions based on what we learned from that, or ask other questions that we didn't get answered that night.
So one thing we could do is, once we compile, sometimes it's very easy to see the areas that need further discussion or
Yeah.
where there's a lack of consensus.
Yeah.
So once that happens, we might just pull
That's why I'm
those
thinking
out.
maybe you guys
Okay.
might want,
So-
we too, but after we get some more data. We don't have a lot of data yet, we're
Yeah.
still in
Yeah.
that, we've acquired data, but we don't have any information yet.
That's fine. I just wouldn't want to preempt you if you actually wanted to be the.
Paul?
I was just gonna offer that we have more than 8 members of the committee for 8 weeks, but I'll bet you every one of us members who were there walked away as satisfied as we were with the structure, saying, boy, there's one question I wish was asked, or I would like to know the answer to.
Or I'm curious why
So if
people
each
were
of us
thinking
has
that.
one,
Yeah.
then we can all submit it, and you guys can, sort through it and do what you want.
Here's what I suggest.
Could you do that?
I like that idea.
I like it too.
But here's what I suggest. You folks define a purpose. Why are we asking the questions on
Yeah.
Facebook once a
Okay.
week? Why not once a day and why not once a month?
Okay.
What's the purpose? So, the periodicity, you must have some science behind how often to ask a question. And, we started having some brainstorming here as to what the question should be pointed toward. But I would say the purpose that you're saying, if it's to fill gaps in information that we have at this point, that's certainly one purpose. If it's to discover something totally new, because as you've gone down this road, we started going, swaying one way, but you go, it's a good diversion that we're on, and explore it more, while taking the rest of the process back to the main road, so to speak, if you want that metaphor. And that each one of us comes up with a question, I'm plenty happy to do that, but to what purpose? So if you could share your purpose, that you think, what you're trying to examine, and then we can offer, and here's what I suggest, is we do provide those questions, but they're going to sort through them and cherry pick the ones that serve the purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we ask, it's a brilliant question, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the master plan.
Or at this
we're looking-
point in the process, it's
Yeah.
not like the right time.
Is that okay?
Was there a second shooter? That's not a good question?
These questions are
On
from
the
Facebook
mobile,
or
it's even
from
older.
Facebook? Okay.
That's it.
So, another thing is, after you develop some of your initial visions and goals, and questions that say, this is what we came up with, what we heard, you want to
Do you want to, is that
comment?
anything
You
missing?
agree with that, you agree
Right.
with that, or do you have some different opinion?
What I found funny about, the 15 different stations or whatever it is there's only a couple that actually had, this group said, sidewalks and bike paths, and another group said sidewalk, but everyone else it was all over the place, so it was the most favorable questions that they asked and answered. So if you took when you put all those bullets and little dots together and you find that there's 17 different ones that are all in the top 2, then that can be addressed to a larger group, like the Facebook thing. That's the thing that I was really surprised at, and that's why I asked the age group of some of them. is what was discussed. You know, he said every answer was turf fields, you know, they started out with that. Well, mine, in our group, it was sidewalks and people driving fast on certain roads and sustainability, you know, being able to get in the woods. We had a lot of people that wanted to walk the woods.
Yeah, I read through that one.
So it was really surprising that because of, I think that my age group was right at that point where, you know, being safe on the sidewalk was pretty important to them, you know? And I'm surprised that the library didn't come up as much as, I don't even think it did.
Not in our group.
It did come up in some groups.
So I think if you address those different issues,
Yeah, and then
of the
see,
multiples of them in the
and see
sequence,
what the priorities.
and see what really the majority of the people are interested in summary, maybe just start out with that and see where it gets you.
And this may not be what the consensus goes to, but I made this point before, even back when we were crafting the RFP, is I would love to see some specific questions answered that could actually direct some of the policies. I appreciate why we had to do such open-ended things, but I'd like to know people, are you satisfied with the commute from where you live to where you go? Is that a reason you came here or a reason you might leave? Why? Do you plan on staying in Littleton, you know, till you die? Or if not, is it, when are you gonna leave? And is it gonna be? Are you gonna leave when your kids graduate from high school? And if so, why? Are you going to, you going to Florida? You going to, or do you stay in Littleton on the weekends for your entertainment and your meals out? Or do you go into the city? All those kind of questions, and none of that comes up generically unless you ask specifically. And I'd say, why did you choose Littleton? Was it the schools? Was it the affordability of the home? Was it the open space, a combination of the above? We know that stuff anecdotally, but we've never really, bored down on that. And I think a lot of that drives, or should drive a master plan, rather than just what are the things you like and what are the things you don't like.
We could do a multiple choice online survey.
And you could
Together
help
some
them
of
get the
these
questions.
things.
Well, I don't
With
think it
input
should just
from
come from me,
all
I'm
of
just
them.
saying the things I'm
Yeah, I mean,
offering.
we could do that. It would not be difficult. It would be probably very valuable to the process. But the kinds of questions you're talking about really lend themselves to that format, and we can do that.
And then after we do this first round and we identify some other issues.
Yeah.
we could
I don't care
add
when
those
it
in.
happens, as
Yeah.
long as at some point we get into those kind of questions.
Sure,
with
no,
people.
no, yeah, that's fair, yeah.
So we'll do it, multiple choice.
All right, we good on the website? All right, we said we were going to circle back to the logo.
Yes. So it looks like, going through all of the input, people highly favored options 1 and 2, but most people weren't that impressed with any of the options. This is the summary. They received a few additional ideas, different ones. And I know that I personally received quite a few ideas about the colors of the hands, that they shouldn't be only one color, maybe there shouldn't only be 2 hands, there should be everybody together. And a couple of people said they could help with the graphic, is something we were hoping for, and one person in particular said they'd be happy to, and Eric has reached out to them, but hasn't yet heard back. So the question is, how would you like to proceed?
Do we have those that can go up on the board? Can we see those?
No.
Well, one of them looked like, I thought it was a little person's hands, to be honest with you. I couldn't see that they were a child's hands inside another person's hands. It really looked weird. I never really looked at it. There was one where someone suggested about, they said the colors of the hands. I never really looked at it, that they were,
Branding, as I
different
understand it,
colored
is
hands.
designed to sort of inspire, create a connection. So maybe we're not so inspirational, but do we create a connection with any one of them that it becomes, even if someone says, I don't like that one. But
It's recognizable.
But does it hurt the process?
Right.
Because if somebody doesn't like the brand, how does that now go psychological?
Right.
With a negative input, does it affect that? I'm asking you guys.
Well, I don't think it should be something that a lot of people don't like. I mean, but it's also sort of, besides the point. But also, it's not that critical, because it's only going to last a year. right? Just through this process. And it's about tying everything together, keeping it imageable.
Right.
So maybe we need to just simplify it,
How much more time do we have?
not much more. I mean, maybe we have, 1 or 2 weeks max.
What if we took the apple and put the Indian for the Neshoba tribe who was originally on it, and then one walking that way, and then a Minuteman in the middle of it, and the last would be a guy,
Wait, how many people are on this now?
3. The Indian, the Minuteman, and at the end, not quite that, because, we're a little
Don't, I think
over
we should
that.
have a woman on there too.
Reverend John.
So, we can have the woman as I said an Indian, and I'd say a man or a
You
woman.
did that, you're right.
Yeah, I'm politically correct for once in my whole life.
Here's what I like to do, because with the 12 of us, we'll have 13 different ideas.
Yeah.
How about if
Oh, you get 2 ideas again.
How about it's always about a new website as one of the,
Yeah, get some
Oh, and
feedback online
ask
from
for
them.
feedback,
Yeah.
okay, we could try that for a week. How
no, I
about
mean,
that?
no.
I thought we were frankly closer at our last meeting on this than we ended up being after the forum.
So go back to.
I'm good with that.
Okay. You're good with that, but that belongs to something else, right?
It belongs to Littleton. Right?
That's what we do for SNEPA.
When you say
Town
that,
of Littleton
Pete,
Plantation.
you're saying
So-
the Littleton symbol.
The one down below. Town of
There is,
Littleton.
no, I know, and.
Show of plantation.
It's just that we didn't have time, we were going to do this
Works for me.
faster.
It's already made.
Yeah, no, I know. And maybe.
We were just saying we should do like
A
a
logo
logo contest.
contest.
We do that for the Southern New England Planning Association Conference every year.
And we've also done it for other master plans, and there was a woman in the meeting who said, community farming is that a thing?
Yeah.
So there was a logo contest for that, and they only, in a week's time, I don't know how many, they gathered so many responses, and it,
This is online.
Do we want to
Is
let
that what
them
you're
run
talking
with
about?
this, and what emerges?
We
I thought I did that.
look at a bunch, and then we
Really?
can always put it on Facebook, and when we go, these are the ones we like, pick one. I don't know. how
But we don't
that
meet
works.
until the 19th of the full committee.
So what?
We could
Nothing's
appoint-
gonna happen between now and then.
That's why I asked, how long do we have? 2 weeks was mentioned. That's not, that's part of the 19th.
I mean, I
Not
guess
till they
in
print it in
summer
a
it's
book.
okay, go longer. Right, because it's also, the inventory is being done now, it's not like there's a lot of public, there's not a lot of stuff going out there, so.
Unless we,
I think
until
can
we
go
put it on
longer.
the website, I mean, nobody, or outside of that, very little public's gonna look at this again until after Labor Day.
Can we wait till the 19th?
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I think so. I think
Oh,
so.
yes.
Wait for 19th to have a
To
decision.
finalize it.
But get it out there in between.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. To have the contest in between.
There should be something in the paper
Yeah.
that publicizes this as well.
Well, we could do it that way, or, which would be nice ideally, because then it's really grassroots. But what we do for the SNEPA conference is, the planning committee for the conference brainstorms, has a brainstorming session about what are the themes of the conference that we want, and what are the key ideas, and all that sort of gets put together by some magician on the committee, who then puts it out on a website where people who are trying to get their graphic arts skills promoted are invited to try to submit a logo. And so you end up with, some things that aren't great and some stuff that's wonderful, but you get basically free content from people who want to submit logo ideas.
I
And
think
could
we
do
should,
that.
we already did the brainstorm, we already have the points.
We do.
You can put them out, so it narrows it a
We could
bit.
do that website process.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been invaluable for SNEPA. We've done it that way for the last couple of
I
years.
think you need to tell them what SNEPA is.
I'm Southern New England Planning Association, sorry. We have a conference
All
every
right,
October.
are we content to go down this road?
Yeah, as long as we give some parameters as to
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
what the,
Yes.
not the motto or whatever it is that goes
Yeah,
with.
exactly.
I'm not trying to take it away from you
No,
locally.
just
I'm
start
trying to get
sharing
done.
it with
No,
us
no, no,
as soon as
just-
possible, and then by the 19th, we should be able to.
Make a decision,
Right.
get it done. So you were going to say something about your
From the
daughter?
depths of
Yeah.
our brainstorming on this issue, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. I think we can,
But wait, Richard's daughter
My
did
daughter
this.
did the exact same thing for a logo for her new brand,
yeah,
and she got hundreds and
Yeah.
hundreds of them back,
we did.
and they were somewhat terrific.
Yeah, see, so
Yeah.
I think that's what we should do.
We had many.
All
I
over
mean,
the
it was
country.
hard.
Yeah. Well, all over the internet, I don't know where they came from.
Yeah, they come from everywhere.
But we could do that,
I
and
think
we
we
could
should
then
just do
give
it.
them to you guys prior to the meeting on the 19th.
Yeah.
And you can decide.
We'll make a deadline like a week before the 19th.
Yeah.
She offered a reward or contest
Okay, oh.
for, like, I think it was $100, and
I think their reward is that they can personally meet the whole committee.
Yeah, to go to.
So you don't,
Yeah.
yeah.
But we have stars.
Let
We
me
have-
check with
oh,
the
What do you have?
co-chairs of the conference and find out exactly how they
Any
lured as
details,
many.
yeah.
But we got several and they were nice.
Okay.
I think I agree, that's
Get
the
them
way
a
to
copy of the
go.
master plan without having to pay for it.
What's that?
A free copy of the master plan.
There you go.
Autograph copy.
Autograph copy by all of the committee members.
Okay.
Oh, it's nice.
Okay.
Anything else on
Yeah, thank you.
items 1 through 5 on the agenda?
I don't think so.
Okay, as I like to do is I went and took some budget with you folks. As soon as we mentioned third Thursday did go well. 4 or 5 of us were out there that day. And if we get 4 or 5 each time, with the next two being 21 July and 18 August. So I'd like folks to sign up to do that, please, and be present. And it's as simple as being there to help set up the table, the tent, a couple chairs, sit there with some propaganda, paraphernalia.
I'm gonna make a sign for you
Informational
though.
material.
Yeah, we need to.
I'm gonna make a sign for you to put on the front of the table so people know what it is that they're walking up to.
I noticed that maybe as we get closer, we do a little bit more planning, because I think we can make it really,
Yeah.
really great.
Yeah,
We could have raffles and those kind of
Yeah.
things there, just to
Things
get
to give
people,
away.
you know.
exactly. And also, we could put a board up. I think I mentioned bringing an easel and a
That'd be
piece of foam core and some of the sticky
Yeah.
paper and let people put ideas up on it. We could have a question
A
for them.
question.
And we discussed trinkets and beads, Maureen. Where are we on that?
Without a logo.
We're without a logo.
Well, we can give out existing things, we get those coffee mugs from Littleton, whatever. I mean, in lieu of or until we get a logo.
Stuff on the
Get
table
some-
to hand
Stuff on the
out.
table, I
Logo
mean.
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gather
Poor
attention.
distraught kids were coming up wondering what their gimme was there, and they weren't getting it.
Well,
We
Paul
did have
was
some
giving,
Play-Doh.
Paul was giving
We
you a
had Play,
Play-Doh.
you're right, we had Play-Doh, I'm sorry, I apologize, we had Play-Doh.
They went fast.
Yeah.
Think about, and without the logo, certainly that would be the best. But sub-optimizing, maybe if we did have some things, those are the things, did you get those? A little Play-Doh?
We could do pins
Oh,
too.
you did. All right.
We could, for the August, by August, we could actually have pins, you know, I support the Littleton master plan. We did that in another town, and it always blew me away when I went there and I'd see people walking down the street with these pins on, like, this is good.
Yeah. Or refrigerator magnets.
Yeah.
What do you think of pens?
Oh, yeah, we've done
Well,
pins.
the advantage
Those
for
are
the
good.
pin is that they wear it.
Yeah.
It's free
And then people see it.
Oh, I'm not saying
Oh.
in lieu of.
No,
Oh, in addition.
I think pens is good. And it's not expensive.
No,
Right.
it's expensive.
All right.
Pens, refrigerator magnets, I mean, anything that, like refrigerator magnets are great, women love those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Something has a website on it.
I grab them every time I go to a conference. Anybody who's got refrigerator magnets, I grab them.
In Kittery, we just did T-shirts and
Yeah.
sold them at cost, so they're $10 a shirt, and people are wearing them on the street.
Thanks for bringing up T-shirts.
That's right, you had that idea.
Yes.
Because one thought was, the zip code, first off, dark blue,
Yeah, yeah.
yellow print,
Yeah.
Okay.
and you may understand why those two colors.
Yeah.
Right. Zip code on the front, Littleton Master Plan,
Ooh.
or something on the back, you know, to that effect. Now, they're in the ballpark of 550, depends obviously the company and the grade,
Yeah.
but what I was able to find, we're somewhere in the ballpark of 550, and that's at a 200 break point.
Oh, should have the website address on there too.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Website, and then the logo.
The logo.
If we want to wait that long.
If you want to
Right,
wait that long,
right.
but I'm not sure you need to.
No, I'm not sure we need the logo.
Maybe you could do the first round, sell it
It's
to.
not getting another color, and that's
We
expensive.
could do the
Right.
shirt, yeah, that's right,
That's
that's the other
true,
thing.
that's
Do the
true.
shirts, we can have those
Yeah.
by July. And then we have the pins and everything
Yeah,
else for August,
for
and people can
August.
put their pin on their
On their
master
master
plan
plan shirt.
And
And the logo is
That's
like
right,
a
exactly.
movable thing.
and we'll start putting pictures on the website of people going around town in
Now I
their
gotta tell you the
t-shirts.
rest of my idea on that one. The air gun, and pop those puppies through the air. You know, like they do at sporting events. Thing is, I asked Park and Rec, they don't have one. And I don't know that we should spend money to go buy one, as neat as it would be. Okay,
You
but back
can't
to,
find one of the Hanscoms somewhere?
Oh, my God.
but back to t-shirts.
Yeah.
Is that something we want to do?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So now, as I said, at least the one I found were in the ballpark of 550 a shirt.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're talking 200 shirts, that's $1,000.
Right.
Is that something we want? It's in the budget, in other words, we have budget ceiling to do that. Do we see value in it?
But is the intent of people would buy them and you give them?
Well, that's the next thing. Is it, are they giveaways or do we, sell them at cost? What's the complications of us selling something?
Counting to the treasurer, counting to the, I don't know how much,
Yeah, it's not a big deal. though.
okay.
We could use it to purchase raffle items.
There you go.
Just turn it around.
But you have a revolving fund for your master plan.
Yeah,
You have to ask
So the way we've been doing it in Kittery is we've been giving them away as a raffle in some cases, and then selling them at cost.
Yeah, I think I think you sell them at cost and then have a
Have a
handful,
few.
have a couple dozen that you give away for
Right, at
people who
raffles.
wins the logo contest.
Yeah,
or-
exactly.
Or at Thursday, you pick up, a ticket and you get a free t-shirt or something like that.
Okay, so now let's talk about a number then.
Sure.
If we're gonna try to sell them at cost, and presumably we'll recover some costs. So that $1,000 just mentioned, we recoup it. How much beyond that do we wanna go and realize we may not recoup it?
I think if you keep 20% of them for giveaways or other types of things.
I'm talking total purchase.
Yeah, so.
You
I
think
think, what you said,
Well,
200.
200 is $1,000,
And that's the
round number.
minimum to get the 550, right?
So if we get
200 is
more-
how much money, and what are you multiplying, what by, $10?
No, 550.
550, he found it for 550
That's
for
what-
2,000.
$1,100. $1,100.
Where's that at? What kind of, where are the
Five
shirts?
times 200.
No, where are the shirts made?
Website. When they're made, I have no clue, Peter.
Well, I certainly want them made in the United States.
Some sweatshop in China, I'm sure.
Not anymore.
What, is that a hard question, or
that?
should I not have, because I'm not politically.
No, I'm happy to hear that you're, a BAA and a TAA advocate, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Joe Souza.
Really? You fill in the letters for me, because I'm not
Buy
quite sure what
America
that's.
Joe Souza.
The question is, do they drink
Yeah, should we go local?
free trade coffee when they make the t-shirt?
I don't care what they drink when they're making, I don't care if they're stewed, I want them made in the United States.
How about made a little bit?
That'd be even better, do we have somebody in town that'll make it for
Well,
$5.50?
there's plenty of marketing
I
people
don't
that sell that
think
stuff.
t-shirts are made in the United States.
Let's
at
back
all.
up, one step at a time.
Zero.
So,
Fruit of the loom?
One step at a time.
That's not made here.
Somebody make a motion with a number of T-shirts for us to procure.
A lot.
I move a lot. Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
For one batch of 200, and we'll see where it goes.
Oh.
Second.
We got a
Okay,
second?
so motion and a second to buy a batch of 200 and see where it goes from there. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Me.
Okay. Next. What do we want on it?
Made in the USA. Just like me
We
from
hope.
Littleton.
No, I think your idea of the zip code.
the zip
Oh,
code, the
unfortunately, some
website.
people love that.
Okay,
And just something about master plan. You
Littleton
wanna add
master
that on?
plan, yeah.
so
Littleton master
zip code on the
plan.
front and on the back.
Just have the
First,
the
that-
website and the zip code.
And maybe, maybe
That's our t-shirt.
when we think about, when we talked about some of the taglines, so that we explain master plan, but, growing together, cultivating, I don't remember.
Something
that.
besides the website I think you need on there.
Yeah.
Besides, because you have to know what it's about.
What it's about, exactly.
Yeah,
So you think
Whatever your tagline you came up with, what you guys came up with,
yeah.
I think
growing
it should,
together or something.
exactly, I think it should have one of
This is what
those.
we just went through to come up with the SNEPA logo. This is so funny. And it was, ended up being cultivating great
You guys went through
communities.
this last month. I mean,
So we
you guys came up with
have,
it last month, so.
Yeah, did you get anything originally from us for slogans or whatever?
Yes, we had some.
We did actually when we started. This is
Right,
coming
we
back
had
to me now.
growing
Yeah.
together, we had cultivating. No, I don't
Does
have.
this work, folks? Front, back?
And then the tagline, some sort of tagline.
I think a tagline we're talking about to explain what what master
So
plan is.
down at the bottom, or?
Right under master plan, I would say. I would say there was, yeah.
Something along the lines, something short.
Well, how about just go, if that's gonna be the back of the shirt, why not just go with the, the obvious little thing, the back Littleton's master plan,
Say that again?
Put back on the
Back little
Yeah.
Back little,
Yeah,
yeah.
people don't want a big education on,
Yeah.
that, but that's,
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah, yeah.
and I'd have back standing above it, that's,
Back, Littleton's master plan.
You want back up on top?
yes.
Yeah.
Back,
And this
right?
is stolen from people who remember Larry Bird coming back from
Yes.
the year off. It
Yes.
was Bird's back was the
Yeah.
t-shirt said.
I thought that's where you got it, so it's all right.
So Littleton's.
They sent it up.
Oh, Littleton?
But are you
Yeah.
this way?
Back, Littleton's master plan, something like that.
So,
But I think in that context, the 2030, I was, forgot we had adopted that, I don't know, that gets too much information on there,
I agree.
So just the master plan,
Back over to the master plan.
yeah.
and
The
then,
website's on there, just really, doesn't have to be big.
Small,
Yeah,
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 that's
small.
just, if somebody inquires about it, you can say, go here.
do we have our tagline?
We don't, I don't even need one.
I like it either.
no, I think now with that, it's, yeah. Yeah.
Going once, twice?
Let's see where it goes.
And I think playing with fonts would be good for this.
That was the slogan.
Give me a break, people.
Let's have a discussion about which fonts.
Which one's made in America?
No Comic Sans.
And
Helvetica Roman.
Peter's point is well taken, and we will seek to get made in America.
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Through local vendors, through local vendors ideally.
We got Joe Souza in town.
Yeah, he's good.
John's reminded me, so we'll check with Joe. Okay, so we said 200, that's gonna affect the prices to where we purchase them.
So be it.
Specific, so,
That's a big number of shirts, so we should be able to do a little finagling in the price. That's a lot of shirts for one.
all right, which takes us to bills, master plan bills. RKG Associates for their May work was $33.50, and their invoice here. I like your invoice.
Oh, is it help, is it?
It is useful, and I'll pass it on for you folks to see. What I'd ask you to do,
Oh, sure.
as you did in Task C, the individual elements,
Yes.
would you do that similarly for Task B, which is community participation, because it's 46K you have against
I
it?
know, yeah.
And I'd like to see that.
It was so hard, I was trying to, because I generate invoice data, and what you have actually comes from our business office. So she just can't generate that long a list, so, I mean, in terms of the breakdown, I just gave her the total
It's an
number.
addendum to the receipt, or excuse me, the invoice, I'm quite happy
Yeah,
for
I mean,
that.
I think I can actually just give her the text on the individual bill, this is for X, Y, or Z. I'll do that.
So now I'm going to ask you, so Task A, getting started, 5,500 was budgeted, and you earned 3,500. Does that mean there was a surplus now on that line of 2,000?
No, it just means I didn't bill it all out yet,
Okay, that's what I wanted to do.
yeah.
Um,
I am forever chastised by the people I work for not aggressively billing my projects.
I just
So,
want to make sure we
it's
understand
just-
what it means.
Yeah, it
Because-
will eventually get all billed out, but.
See, when,
But we've already
I'm
started,
a
so we're gonna
terrible
start all
business
over again and charge us another 1,500? I'm confused now. That was a good question. That was a bad answer.
No, it's-
So
I'm
let's
just-
have a better
it's the
answer.
truth. I just don't aggressively.
I'm guessing you
bill
folks don't use EVMS, and
I
there's
get
people
this
who
at work
don't
all
use
the time.
EVMS. Yeah, so like I see something that says earned, yeah, that's a very specific term. And the thing is, and it says total earned. And the thing is, it's not the total at this point, but that's your billing, and we're not going to get too deep into it. That was the reason for my
I
question.
don't design those invoices.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, that's not Judy's.
I'm just going to pass this way, so everybody can get a look at it. And if there's anything else you'd like to ask them to do, but at the very least, Task B for community
Yeah.
participation, break that out. Okay, so your billing for $33.50, we're content with that. Anybody have any problems with it? The miscellaneous bills are the postage, the park and rec, they're Thursday. So you folks know that?
You done reading that? Send it along.
This is very much like the AIA invoice, the architect's invoice.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is normal.
So Park and Rec was $25 for third Thursday. I paid that and submitted the bill. Mara's taking care of that. Food service. So the food for the public forum was $23.53.82. We did, because we decided we did not want those round tables, because at least for the dinner portion, might they work better for the
Right.
planning portion?
They would
Noise
have,
level
but-
now, but we did go out and rent tables and chairs. That was $727.50, and the childcare was $250 for a subtotal of $33.31.22. We had budgeted $3,000, so
You
as I
did
said,
really well.
as I said, it's not a good government for only 10% over.
I thought it said the tables were $400, tables and chairs, and people were gonna set them up and take them away. You just said
So I
$727.
got on thinking.
Right, but then, that he also included the
Food?
No.
janitor. Custodian was.
The custodian is in that, yes, good call.
Is in that.
Who said no to the board rules?
Custodian
Janitor
was,
was $325 or
$270.
$327.50?
potty rental was $457.50,
All right, 400. So $300 was the janitor, was the-
$270.
the janitor? One?
Custodian 9 hours at $30 an hour. Set up, during, tear down.
Tear down.
I was under the impression you said that the rentals were set up by somebody else, by the company that rented them. That was the $400 that I agreed to. That the company with the tables were setting them up and putting, and taking them away, and the chairs and the whole 9 yards.
But the janitor had other duties.
Yeah.
All right, here's this, because that wouldn't be Dr. JG's concern. We'll handle that. Dive into it deep with Maren, please, so that if we miss something, we correct it for the next time around, okay? Please, thank you. All right. Did I get passed around? You guys haven't outside yet?
Haven't seen it yet.
And as I say, if there's anything on there or not that you'd like to see, let's take the opportunity to talk to Judy and Daphne right now about it. All right, as far as the food, were we content with the food we received, the quality of it, and the price we paid, and given we fed roughly 200 folks?
Mine was fine. I liked it.
Thank John Overcash for us.
Could have gone for
please,
some more
and team.
cookies.
Yeah.
Cookies were gone early.
Okay, is that something we want to do again when we have the next public forum?
I would love to encourage you to do it if you can.
Yeah, if you can,
I just
definitely.
think it,
Maybe the Kimball's.
I totally think it is.
it was such
Yeah.
such a wonderful.
Wait. Why are we going out of town?
I know, but.
Why are we spending money out of town on this?
Because Brigham's doesn't come here anymore.
I wasn't about Brigham's. I mean, we have this whole thing up on the point.
What's up on the point? There was the yogurt thing?
I'm thinking about the space.
Well, we have
All right, one
we
step at a
have time to
time.
figure that
One
out.
step at a time. We're all content for the next public forum to have a meal again, a sit-down meal.
Well, we do have Kimball's in town here.
When is the next public forum? That's not till,
It will be September, those are the dates that we're
that's
gonna
the
work.
charrettes, so that's not the same thing. We're not gonna have meals at the charrettes, I don't think.
I
Yeah,
don't think
we
so.
have- we
We have
don't
to have
have it.
refreshments, but not a meal.
Yeah, well, we need to talk about the
Yeah,
format for that,
exactly.
which we'll do on Friday.
Okay.
I want to get Peter Flinker's
Yeah.
input, because I think they
Public
actually
forum for the
have
moment is what
time.
we're talking.
Public forum.
Public forum, and then we'll go to charrettes. Are we content with, once again, having a full meal, sit-down meal with a public forum next one?
If the agenda is similar to what the last one, I mean, charrettes are a different agenda, so I think that should be a different type of.
I agree completely, that's why I'm saying public forum for the
Yes,
moment.
I would say yes.
Okay, we're content there, so thank you. Peter's going to dive a little bit into the details with the chairs and the tables and make sure we sort through that. Okay, now, for the charrettes, we can speak about that. Yeah, it's probably more snack type environment.
talk-
Let's talk to Peter
I wanna talk
on
to
Friday.
All right, is that good then? We'll wait until
Yeah, yeah.
Peter?
You talking to me?
No, the Peter Flinker, the landscape architect, who's going to run those.
Okay, so our total bills for the month of May, which takes a little bit into June, is $67,1277. I'd like a motion that we support that and send it to the planning board for them to disperse the funds.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded for public bills of $67,1277. Sent to the planning board for their approval and disbursement of funds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
So I get to decide when we sign the checks now, too.
You do, you're way you put on.
See, it all comes back to Peter.
That next
Yeah,
townwide
the plan-
workshop
yeah,
is a mid-November placeholder, is what we have in the schedule. We don't have to-
We'll figure out.
There you go.
Turkey.
Turkey.
Don't have that turkey next year.
All right, everybody, anybody else on the invoice is what we want from RKG? Okay, so you have our input there,
Thank
please.
you.
So thank you.
Very much.
Anything else on budget? What I will do with the next one, the budget that I presented, the spend plan actually that I presented to the selectmen 2 weeks ago, I will update it based on the information we have here, and I'll have that for us at our next meeting. Is that okay? Okay. Any other business before we prepare to adjourn?
I did have a request, I don't know if this is Maren or maybe somebody else, but there seems to be a number of things that we're looking to get the word out over the next couple of weeks on. The website, signing up for, getting up on the email for the website, a logo participation, feedback on vision and goals. I mean, there's a couple of different things. And so I just was going to craft an email that says, hey,
Yes.
so-and-so, follow up the meeting, here's some blurbs, and so here's a chance for you to comment.
Yes.
Just so that I could then,
We'll
forward
do
it and
that.
send.
Yep, yeah. take care of
Anything
that.
you want us to send out, I guess, would be asked.
Yes, that's fine.
Maren, can I keep this one?
Yes.
All right. As we prepare to close, this bears repeating. I offered no opinion. It was well received. Both ladies.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Oh, which one? I'm sorry. Mark.
Minutes, draft minutes.
Thank you. Take a motion on the minutes.
So move.
Second.
As corrected.
That's correct.
I offered one letter correction. Is that it?
Yep, and then Mike had a correction on the.
Oh, yeah.
As amended, so moved as
Except if it's
amended.
informed and progressive.
Oh, and I apologize. Give me 1 second, please. It's not an issue, but so it does not become an issue. If, in the course of events, it seems like a really brilliant idea for you to expend some funds on behalf of the committee, please don't. Without, at the very least, running it by Maren, okay? And if you're all content with that, and we're talking petty cash sort of stuff, where it's just brilliant, it's something right there, and you go like, this works for everything we've talked about. I'm plenty content for us to have that latitude, coordinated through Maren, and, because that's in essence a coordination with the planning board of sorts. Would you agree, Peter, being the chairman?
Sure.
Thank you. So that's how we handle that, okay? Don't just go out and do it on your own and submit a bill. You know? Okay.
It's kind of fun, the power I wield.
And I do want
Yeah,
to
it's
publicly
huge,
thank
too.
Mike did donate one of the gift certificates, so.
That's right.
Both of them, actually.
So, well, both, so thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any more?
Any
Oh,
more?
there's more, yeah.
So now, all in favor of adjournment?
Oh, yeah.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. John, would you get the TV, please?